just has a lot of stuff here. Who I am, what are the hard rules, what is my file in the Obsidian vault, how to use Obsidian CLI, my writing voice. I have all of that there. But the problem with that, it gets huge very fast, and those rules which you have there, Claude starts forgetting them as you use them. Another problem is, this context goes stale. So as you interact with the system keeps evolving, and your preferences are also evolving. You need to manually update this Claude.md file to manage it, to make sure that you got reliable memory for our Claude. Another problem is that it's hard to manage this, and people forget to manage it. I'm also, as well, last time I touched my Claude.md was probably 2 weeks ago. So your work is evolving, and Claude.md can't keep up with all of that. And the solution to that is auto-memory. So instead of maintaining all of this giant file called Claude.md, you now have a single index file called memory.md. Here is an example of how it looks like with the index of memories with different sections. We have those modular patterns, modular memories, which you can open here, and they look like that. We have a name, description, and a type. And here I have them in my Obsidian bases. You can see clearly all of them have different types about my preferences. So in the way to work that, you talk to Claude, and then there are some patterns emerging as you work. So Claude can notice patterns, or you can tell it that, okay, we want to fix it as a memory, and then it saves this preference to a memory. And those preferences are automatically loaded in the next session. Okay, right now I'm here, I can do Claude session, and I can ask about memories which it has about me. And this is exactly what we have in our memories. Here we have edition patterns, time, autonomy, Pomodoro blocks. So it knows all of that. And it says, so the way to go about interacting with that memory is to just tell it to, let's say I prefer working in 45-minute blocks. I want you to remember that. So Claude now recording one memory. So it reads this file, like feedback Pomodoro. Nothing like file which it reads. I can open it as well here as feedback Pomodoro. Now I just change it to 45 minutes. It wrote 2 memories, and it updated the file in my preferences. So next time when I start a new session, so it's going to remember that pattern. And the key difference between this auto memory and Claude.md is that Claude.md is managed by you mainly. So you write your preferences here, and the auto memory is something that Claude manages in the background. But you can also ask it to write these memories as well. It's designed in a way that you don't even notice that it's happening and remembering those preferences. And the way to enable this auto memory is to go to memory section and then set auto memory on. Right now it's on for me. And to keep track of what's happening in this auto memory, I set up Obsidian base where I pull all of the individual memory files in this folder, and they're displayed here as a table. And the way to do this is to do a symlink. Those memories, they live in your project folder. And here's the example folder structure. When you run Claude code in a particular folder, it's going to create a project for that folder, and we're going to keep track of all the memories while you're working here. It looks like that. You have the index file, and then you have 2 new memories. But there is still a new problem with that. Those memories also go stale too. And Claude keeps collecting memories, some, like some duplicates, and old memories start, and Claude keeps up adding memories more and more. And the solution to stale memories is auto-leave. That's a new Claude feature which has been shipped this week. It's still in the research preview. The way it works that Claude code in the background runs this dream prompt, which gathers your sessions, essentially those interactions between you and Claude code. It reads the current memory file and the index. And the goal of this dream prompt is to consolidate the existing memories and prune the old ones which are no longer relevant. And then you store those results, and then you repeat it every day because it's a hidden feature. There is no documentation about it. And what I did is I ran as Claude code essentially to look at its modified source code and reconstruct the prompt. And here is the results. For this dream prompt, we have these guidelines that it's performing a dream reflected as on memory files, like a human would do. And it consists of the four phases. The first phase is orient. We check what already exists to create our index file. That's the first part. Understand where we are right now. The second phase is gathering recent signal. Essentially, those are different value logs in our Obsidian existing memory that already drifted. And the most important part is transcript search. Claude can have access to your conversations. They're stored locally on your computer, a full trace of interaction. And based on this trace, we gather the signal, what becomes stale and what needs to be updated, what is a new preference. And the phase 3 consists of the consolidation, where we decide, okay, so we have a new information, how do we merge it to existing memories, and creating automatically files. And for the final phase 4, we do prune and indexing. We updating the main index file. We make sure that it's under 200 lines. So we remove the old pointers, we add new pointers. It's all contradiction. And this is the whole for the dream pro, how it works. So the key here is that we have this quality, which is our foundation. Then we have auto memory, which learns from every conversation, and auto dream keeps our memory clean and fresh. Now to enable auto dream, you can do it in the same command. You doing slash memory and enabling auto dream on. You can see that it runs automatically. It tells me that it ran 14 hours ago. Also tells me that you can run slash dream to run it on your own. But when you try to do that, there is no such skill. It's unknown. The feature is in research preview, and they expect that it's going to be announced officially in the recent weeks. Now, I really believe that to get the most out of Claude, of all these tools, we need to deeply understand how they work internally. And here is my 5 cents to that. We can actually understand what is the system of the Claude and how all of that memory is working together on a high level. When you start a new Claude session, this is what Claude sees. It has a Claude.md. Then after that, there is memory.md. Essentially, that's the index of all of your memories, which has the limits or 200 lines max. And it references those individual memory files. And it's important to know that those memory files are not in a system prompt. They are just only references. And this way, we keep our context window efficient. So we load those memory files only when they're relevant and when we need it. But here is the actual system prompt of Claude. You can see that there is a lot of stuff going on. So we won't go into that in a very detailed way, but we can just have a grasp of what's going on under the hood and how all these tools are working. We have this long system prompt about about how you can do tasks. So actually very interesting that the user primarily requires you to perform software engineering tasks. But actually it's not true, right? They are using the system to write our emails, to generate diagrams for all this sort of stuff. Here's how to use tools. There's some form of style, and I don't write anything of that. It's in a system prompt of Anthropic. They set it and they can't change it. And here is the actual prompt for the auto memory, which you can see that you got persistent memory, and it tells that it's stored in the directory, but this we already know. And that's how it operates, right? If the user explicitly asks you to remember something, save it immediately. So by default, it's going to write to this folder as individual memory, as we've seen right here. And there's also different types of memory. And those types are essentially like those ones. We have a type of feedback, we have a type of reference, we have a type of project, and then here is the information in the system prompt on how to use it. Then there's also instructions for code, but not to save to memory, such as file path, right? Doesn't make sense to save something dynamic. So we have already documented in Claude.md. Also, there's instructions on how to save memory. Yeah, and then there are also like different tools, agent, read, skills, all your skills are here. And when you start Claude, that's actually how this Claude.md. That's what it has now called to me. That's the first part. And when I go at the end of that, so that's the end of the Claude.md file, I see this memory index, all of the references to individual memories. And now here I start asking Claude about I want to record a video. Here are some relevant memories for my video production. That's the whole loop. Now you have the whole picture how memory works. So now it's no longer a black box for you. Now you have a solid understanding how this machine works internally. Now, if you want to build a full system with your own projects, with your own memory, with your own skills, I run a hands-on cohort for Claude Obsidian Lab. When we spend 5 weeks together to build your whole system, your actual dashboards, your actual text for your projects, your actual memory structure to help you do your best work. And at the end, we have a demo day where people present. So let's keep going. Now, this is the most important part of the video. An actually way to think about memory that your work produces memory. Every conversation with Claude, you do some work. You write a post, you ship a video, you finish a piece of work. And how the skill is called retrospective skill, which runs those subagents to analyze my conversation with Claude and then propose updates to the skills and propose new memories and update our memory index. It's similar to auto-dream, but on a scale of one conversation. When I'm working, I can exactly see what's going to be changed, and I get full observability, full control what's going to be written to my memory. So that's the example of the skill. So it tells to extract signals. Let's actually try to run it. So this was my planning session for this video, and I can run retrospective skill on that and see what's going to be results. Now, Claude would analyze this conversation and it would come back to me with results. Check out the review and see. But meanwhile, for the skill, the steps are as follows. So what we have is, first step is extracting signals. We have different corrections which I made. This is not great, remove this. Then something that has to be done, that you don't want to do that. And ideally next time when we work, we do it just one shot. Some missing steps that weren't improvised, just improvised, but in the workflow, what worked well. Then there is a mapping to skills which were used in this session. The data skills, then that's the important part. That Claude proposes tips and findings as a table. I can review, reject. For example, if I want to just say I want to approve only one, then let's do that. And then we apply it. And that's the whole skill. Meanwhile, Claude was working and it proposed to me those learnings. That's a table. And that's, for example, of something that could go to the skill. I have the skill called video, and we have a workflows for outline. And let's say it was using all gaps headers in outline. I don't want to happen this next time, and we want to update it. And you can tell, I'm approving that, and next time the skill is going to be fresh. And that's the point. So the more you use the system, the better it gets with every piece of work, with every chapter. And I believe that's the best leverage you can get in the current world. How I see those AI agents evolving into the future, that you do your work, and at the end of the session, you think what can be improved. You run this retrospective skill, and some agents analyze it. Then you update your memory, update your skills, and next time when you have to record a video or to do the same type of work, it's just going to be one shot. That's the point, that you can't really design a skill from nothing without doing work first, without doing the thinking first. You can only do that after you finish the piece of work. And I think of this retrospective skill as something that is not replacing auto-dreaming, but it works together with it. So it's going to consolidate maybe different type of memories. But now our system can remember and improve. But the memory only does capture the way human operate in the real world. The real world is just too complex. You have decisions to make, stuff to track, and you need to keep track of progress across different areas of your life. So you can do even better with dynamic memory per area of your life. So the way I imagine my life are the different areas. I have content to post, I have videos to record, health goals which I want to achieve, have success to feel, have plans to work. So to get understanding what happens in each area of my life, I create those dashboards. Here is my health dashboard. I just go to it, and this is my health dashboard. What I have here is my action items, which are outstanding. Then I have my goals. I have my sessions where I keep track of work with Claude. I have my recent sessions, which I can resume. Let's say I want to work on this session. So this session is just about optimization of my sleep. I set a goal, I set context, and this session is archived. But if I ever want to go back, I can just press resume, and I'm going to resume this session. Right now, I can go back to this. So in this session is back. So I can keep track of what's going on. I have different plans. Right now, there is no plans. I have research notes and also all linked notes. And this is a dashboard for each, which I have for each area of my life. Now, the problem here is how do I actually put all this context into Claude? How do I tell that's my health area of life? Here is all the stuff you have right here. How do you tell it, Claude? If you tell it, if you just tell it, oh, find my health notes, that's going to be not great. It's going to miss something for sure, because as the system grows, there is so much complexity. You have different type of nodes, and it just becomes a mess. And that solution is not really scalable, and it's not reproducible at all because Claude is it's non-deterministic. You can do it once, but then next time it's not going to work out well. Now the solution is a dashboards. You can read those dashboards using Obsidian CLI. Let's do that. So let's say I have this dashboard called help. I'm telling Claude to read this dashboard by resolving all data view queries. So it's reading this one file called health.md, but actually it doesn't get this information about the action items because this is just a piece of code. It's a data view, and we can teach Claude how to run those queries for us. And now it's running all these queries, and you can see they're being resolved. And this is exactly the result we have in our dashboard.
pilot, que é um caminho que você vai utilizar estatística diretamente do seu notebook. Você está procurando uma maneira de combinar suas notas e suas atividades desse vídeo para você. Antes de começar, já deixa seu like, se inscreva no canal para não perder o artigo. Então vamos ver. Primeiramente, você precisa do seu bot, criar, vamos habilitar procurar um pilot.